name of the game is playing really, really good baseball in late May.
We have a motto here that, little things become big things. And if we can take care of those little things, I think we're going to be all right.
We got to bring your expectations are high, and this is kind of what we're used to. This is how I was introduced to Middle Township basketball.
I miss being on the sidelines. I miss everything what high school football is all about. I think it's the greatest sport.
It's not a walk in the park going through our league.
And the message is simple. We want to win a state championship.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Cal One-on-One right here on Cape Atlantic Live, presented by Ulmer's Appliance Service. I'm your host, Nick Kosko, and with me today to continue our summer football preview series for the 2024 campaign is Hammonton head coach Jim Raso. Coach, appreciate the time. Good to talk to you again. Hope your summer's been well, and let's just start right there with the off-season preparation for your Blue Devils going into training camp now. We're about 6+ weeks away from the season. How's it been going for your Hammonton squad?
Yeah, the kids, we're hard, back in the weight room, hard working. The kids are in there. This time of the year, we're going 3 days a week right now, and we kind of split the sessions up based on positions. But like I said, the kids are hungry, and they couldn't wait to get back after it again.
So when you go back to the beginning of the offseason, coming off a playoff run for you guys last year, got to the sectional semifinals, ran into Winslow in the Central Jersey bracket. Of course, we'll just call it, we can just call it South Jersey 1 and 2 if you want to at this point. So, so when you guys make a bit of a playoff run, you had a bit of a lull towards the end of the year, but you bounced back, good playoff win in a rematch over Ocean City, and before you ran into Winslow. So when you go back to that offseason, knowing of the adversity you guys faced last year, battling some tough losses, some injuries, what was the first message you said to your guys going into the winter and saying how you're gonna rebound here for 2024?
Yeah, you just want to go back and look and see some things that we did well, and then some things that we need to improve upon. And the big thing for us was just getting everybody back in there, getting everybody on the same page. And, just putting that work ethic getting right back after it. And the kids have been doing that. I think the kids have done a really nice job this offseason so far. We still have this summer stretch period to go before the official start date. I believe it's on August 12th. But each and every day we use it as an opportunity, to get better physically. Also mentally, starting to get some mental reps in terms of what the playbook is looking like. And the kids are very excited for this year.
So when you look at some of the other offseason things that other teams have done, I know some teams go to 7-on-7 camps and competitions up at local colleges, within the Northeast area. A lot of teams have multi-sport athletes. I know Hammonton's one of those schools where you have a lot of guys that are on your football team that wrestle, they do track, some play basketball, and obviously when the spring comes around, more track and baseball and lacrosse and things like that. What was the balance for you guys in the offseason between multi-sport athletes, and were there any camps you guys did throughout the course of the offseason preparing for this new campaign? What was that like?
It's trying to find that balance. We do have a lot of kids, and we actually introduced lacrosse this year. It was a club sport, and they're going to be full go next year. So we actually had a lot of our kids involved with that, along with track and baseball. But it's a chance for them to be competing, and that's very important as well. Just as being in the weight room and lifting, but they're out. The other kids are out there competing. And, I think that goes a long way with having a well-balanced team. A couple weeks ago, we went down to the barn to get 7-on-7 there. I believe there was like 8 teams down there. So it was good for us. We were just kind of getting our feet wet with some of that. And then, we'll have a few along in July where we get together with some teams, and, nothing like a formal tournament or anything like that, just more along the lines of informal stuff.
So when you look at the skill guys that you're bringing back this year, you guys have a nice balance of veterans and some young guys stepping up. I know quarterback's the most important position. What's the plan there in terms of a competition? You have some young guys stepping up, or maybe guys switching positions. Where's your head at with you and your staff in terms of the QB?
We'll have a few kids battling it out. One kid in particular, Shane Way, his brother Billy was our starting quarterback a few years ago. So Shane's in the mix of it. Gavin Kovacs did a great job with the baseball team this year. He'll be in the mix. And then we actually have one of our incoming freshmen who's done a nice job with our 7-on-7s. We're not completely leaving that out. So Cole Landesini, and we're excited to see where he's going to go. But right now, I would say between Gavin and dealing with Shane, those two have a little bit of advantage just because they're being upperclassmen now.
Some of the other guys that are veterans, some of your seniors, DeAndre Clemens on the offensive side, playing running back and linebacker. He's got some big shoes to fill in the backfield, but again, hard hitting dude. What was your biggest takeaway from him over the course of the offseason?
Yeah, just his work ethic. Physically, you look at him, he's putting that work in. He's been with us for the 3 days a week. He's been doing some other training for additional 2 days, and he wants to go out there and prove that he wants to be one of the top backs in South Jersey. And I know he'll be the first one to tell you, with the offensive line, coming back, we have a lot of guys intact that started for us last year, and that experience hopefully goes a long way for him.
Other guys, Devon Coulter and Josiah Miller really stood out to me as far as the guys that you're bringing back this year. A couple others to mention. Again, you can't go with the offensive and defensive lines without mentioning Christian Medina and, of course, Anthony Linenkovic. He, especially the latter, he's got a lot of offers coming in already, Division I offers coming. It just seems like, I say this to a lot of coaches when I reference Hammonton, that they're very, you guys are very big on the offensive line and defensive line. It just seems like every single year there's a new guy that pops up, or guys are 2 to 4 year stars along the line because they're already ready to go, whether it's offense or defensive line. What were your biggest takeaways on how these guys have developed over the course of their careers?
Yeah, I mean, Christian in particular, he's going to be going on as a 4-year starter for us. And to watch him grow every single year, just get bigger, stronger, and just his mental capacity now, everything seems to me as if the game's kind of slowing down for him. Anthony, you're talking about someone that, popped up out of nowhere. I mean, this kid, we weren't sure if he was ever going to get on the field for us. Started full-time for us at defensive tackle. He'll be a 2-way starter for us this year, but he's up to 6'4". He's somewhere in the ballpark of about 270 right now, and with a 4.9 GPA, and has a lot of offers from the Ivy League schools. And I know he's trying to narrow that down as we speak. But the time and the effort that he's been putting in, and he's had a very successful track season, coming off a very successful track season as well. We have another kid, Gabe Ramirez. He'll be a 2-way starter for us. Davon's going to be playing a lot of minutes for us on both sides of the ball. And, and Gabe Wainers is somebody who is last year as a sophomore, got into the games a lot last year, and his older brother, Andy, graduated. He'll be someone in the mix on the offensive line for us.
And in Anthony's case, it's interesting because you mentioned he was a guy that was under the radar, didn't expect to have this type of breakout campaign. He does last year. Growth spurt obviously helps, but when you look at his work ethic, as you alluded to before, what exactly did he do other than just being physically gifted on the football field? What did he do to really hone in his skill set and really stand out to college coaches as he goes into his senior year?
It's the time that he's putting in. He just, he did hit that growth spurt, but, just his off-season workouts, he's in there from where he started at, and now he knows how to actually lift. Coming in, he didn't really know. He was, doing minimum sets, and now he's doing extra sets, and I think that's kind of gone a long way. Didn't have a background in football at all, played soccer growing up his whole life. So the game has been very new to him, and he's still very raw. But he's somebody that's going to continue to work on his craft. He's a perfectionist, and you can see it whether it's in school, what you can see it on, what he's accomplished in track. Then you're definitely seeing what he's accomplishing in football right now as well.
as far as these guys are concerned, again, it's another veteran-heavy team. And again, you'll have young guys step up, I'm sure you will, as you do every single season. But when you go into a season like this where there's some turnover at key positions, but you get a lot of leadership back, what does that mean for you in the program, knowing that you can probably put a lot of trust into these players to navigate a difficult schedule and try to make another playoff run this fall?
It goes a long way, having some guys that have been starting for us, for 2, 3, and then Christian, 4 years. We had Ethan Peterson last year start as a sophomore. Now, he's going into his junior year. He'll be a two-way starter for us. He's been doing an outstanding job as far as stepping up and being a leader, in the locker room and things that we've done on the practice field so far. And that goes a long way, having guys like that and DeAndre and Christian, those guys been through the ups and the downs and, what works, what doesn't work, and makes our jobs as coaches a little bit easier, knowing that they know what the expectations are, and guys that are having to step into some new roles, being able to show them, this is how things are supposed to be getting done.
I'm curious about your guys' philosophy, and I think I asked you about this last summer because of the change in personnel you had, where maybe you open up a little bit in the passing game as Hammonton. Again, as long as you've been there, and even time before that, it's been a very traditional run-heavy approach on offense, really grinding you down in the trenches on both sides of the football, really hard physical play. So when you look at stuff like that, are you still looking to adapt to more of a passing game and try to sprinkle in that more, or is it kind of just let's stick to the bread and butter and let's just really keep what's working and just basically improve on the basic fundamentals at that point?
Yeah, we did a lot a long focus this off season and some of the things that we're running and our play calling and things that have worked and try to elaborate a little bit more in the pass game. Obviously, we've always kind of been run, but you get to a point where you got to be able to open things up and want to be able to do it, not just on passing down. So, our mindset going into this season is trying to open it up a little bit more, but not overloading the kids where, it's not just something that they won't be able to handle. We got to make sure that they're getting comfortable with the playbook and then kind of adding as we're going now.
So looking ahead to the season itself, the schedule, new division, so a little bit more of a local flair this year. So I'll actually start right there. I know a lot of teams that they make these deep playoff runs. They're playing teams that they normally wouldn't have played in years past. Or, you're making hour ride bus trips, out in deep into West Jersey. Seems like it's more of a balance this year in terms of the division, in terms of quality of the play, and then you look at what are basically down the road against other teams that you normally would play in the old school Cape Atlantic League. What were your first takeaways when you saw this new division, seeing more of that local, Cape Atlantic flair again?
We are playing some teams that we haven't played for a while. We're going to be opening up with Oakcrest at the Battle of the Beach this year. We haven't played them in a few years. We are playing Atlantic City early on in the schedule. Mainland's back on there, which we've had some good battles with them over the years. So it is going to be good to play some of the teams, that we haven't played in the old Cape schedule. It's definitely a challenging schedule, and we've been trying to get the kids prepared. We're not trying to look at the long term of it. We're simply focusing on Oakcrest right now. That's our opener, and we'll take it game by game.
Yeah, I was actually just going to bring up that game against Oakcrest, which I alluded to before. I'll be in a different division, but you guys do play them at Battle of the Beach here to open up the season. This time at EHT in the weekend showcase event. Oakcrest, it's almost like it's a battle of different philosophies and different styles. Because I just talked to Coach Mike Forrest the other day, and they bring back a lot of skill guys that they can really air it out down the field. So it's a bit of a different look for you guys compared to, you see some of the other teams that are going to be in your division where they kind of match up similarly to you. When you look at a team like that, and I know we're 6+ weeks away from that game, and that's pretty much the only game you guys are focusing on right now. But when you look at a game like that to kind of balance it out with the rest of your opponents this year that you are going to see, what's that like, knowing that they're going to be a little bit differently, or they're going to be a little bit different offensively, and obviously defensively they might come at you with different looks. So how do you prepare for something like that?
Yeah, they'll throw multiple looks at you. they definitely do. Their skill guys are, with a lot of them coming back, it'll definitely be a great challenge. We're telling our kids we're going to try to win the line of scrimmage. To us, it always starts and ends up front, and try to get some different pressure looks for their quarterback and see how he responds. Our big thing is we're always trying to get 2 or more turnovers. We kind of did a little study on it, and we've won like 96% of our games getting 2 or more turnovers. So, that's one thing we've always been preaching, especially all off season. It'll be all summer long is getting the turnovers and giving the offense some extra possessions.
From a football perspective, when you're coaching that up in the summer, when you're coaching that throughout the week, how do you emphasize getting more turnovers? Now, sometimes they could just be pure luck. Sometimes they're just great plays on the ball. But when it comes to interceptions, when it calls to just knocking that football out, are there certain things that you guys are doing to ensure that, maybe that ball does pop out on this particular tackle? Maybe we force a guy to the outside on this angle. I mean, do you look at certain things like that down to
it's part? Yeah, our defensive staff does an outstanding job, and that's actually part of our philosophy when we're teaching tackling and some of the things that we're going over. We actually do a turnover circuit to try to emphasize that even more so with the kids and how important that aspect of the game has been for us over the years. So, that's kind of ingrained in the top of their heads, and we try to reinforce it every practice when we get an opportunity to.
Couple more for you, and I appreciate your time, Coach. James Raso with me here on Cal 1-on-1, presented by Ulmer's Appliance Service, our summer football preview series here on Cape Atlantic Live, looking at Hammonton football this coming fall. So, again, loaded schedule, Battle of the Beach, Oakcrest coming up on August 31st at EHT. Coach, you've been making a loaded roster again, and the record didn't quite indicate, as I alluded to at the top of the show, what you guys did last year, making a run to the sectional semifinals. You played some good games against some high-quality opponents. The mainland game sticks out to me. I think it sticks out among a lot of South Jersey circles because that game was the closest that the Mustangs played last year. Everyone knows their story, went on to win a state championship last year. I don't know if you guys ever referenced that game at all as far as like what you guys could do defensively and potentially offensively when you measure the game film against a state title team like that. When you play a game like that and then compare it to the rest of your schedule and then you look ahead to this year and what you guys potentially could do you reference that game? Do you look at it in terms of, if we just fixed 1 or 2 things, maybe we can play state title caliber football here in 2024?
Our biggest thing is, we'll sit down and we'll evaluate each and every game, but that game in particular, trying to emphasize to the kids is we have to learn and we have to be consistent in what we're doing. We did a lot of good things last year, but we weren't consistent in what we were doing. And, little mistakes, and that comes from straight at the top, we could be doing a better job coaching and turning around and the kids responding. So you try to take a little bit out of each and every game. That game in particular, we were great rivals and we were a player 2 away, but you can never, hang your hat on being a player 2 away. In the end, you're trying to win the game and trying to find ways to do it and do it better. And that's what we got to do. And we sat down as a staff and these are things that we need to do, improve upon and try to be consistent as we possibly can with things.
So I'll leave you here with this, and it kind of piggybacks off what you just said right there in terms of you can't hang your hat on 1 or 2 plays where it's not horseshoe, so it's not almost, so it's not one of those things. Is that the message you're preaching for your team this year to the school, saying that this is a football team that's gonna be more consistent, and that's basically been the primary focus since the winter, basically since last season ended? It's all about consistency in 2024.
Consistency, and simply put, everything that we're doing, let's do it together. We made some great individual plays. Let's make some great team plays. And that's the biggest thing. And the kids have really, bought into it this off season and, looking forward to seeing what it's going to, spill out onto the actual field this year.
Jim Raso of Hammonton Football with me here on Cal 1-on-1, presented by Ulmer's Appliance Service. Coach, I appreciate the time. Good luck this season. Pleasure to have you on. Hopefully we're talking to you again down the line later this fall amid another successful season for Hammonton.
Thanks for having me, and anytime. I appreciate being on.
No doubt at all. Like and subscribe to this video. Check out Cape Atlantic Live on YouTube. And, of course, check out us on social media as well for future podcasts and as well as our live game coverage coming up this season in 2024. Once again, it's Cal 101 right here on Cape Atlantic Live.